For those of you who are new here, I'm Karen Klassen, and I'm normally here every Monday at 7 p.m. Mountain Standard Time to give you an opportunity to connect and support each other and have your questions answered. This morning, we're doing something a little different as our guest, Michael Tellinger, lives in South Africa, and 7 p.m., I believe, is 3 a.m. your time. So we're going to be having two calls today, and I'll be introducing Michael in just a moment. Right now, I find that so many people are feeling helpless and powerless and have a lack of direction. And we at Life First Canada are supporting and educating Canadians from coast to coast to really focus on solutions. We are restoring and creating new systems that are for the people, by the people. We do not need governments who are controlled by big corporations. What we need is for each province, which is a nation unto itself, to stand on their own 2 feet. And at the same time, we need to unite as a country as we're doing today. We need for the people to really recognize the power that they have to create prosperity and freedom in their own towns and cities. And you all have the power to do that. Our main focus is in creating our 10-year restoration plan that involves the 9 major pillars. Again, we're not here to fix the system. We're not here to fight the system. We know these old corrupt systems and structures will be crumbling, and we are going to be here to rebuild, renew, and revitalize as we bring back natural law. Do no harm to others. And we're supporting our small towns and cities and communities as they create their planning councils and take back their own sovereign rights. If you have yet to sign up, I recommend you go to the lifefirstcanada.ca website, as you'll be receiving our updates and our Zoom links for future conversations, and be connected to our amazing community across Canada. And yeah, once you sign up, then you'll receive an email, so check your inbox. Okay, so let's just breathe in that life force energy that sustains us and keeps us moving forward. We're going to breathe in some gratitude here. Again, the chat is open, so please say hello. Let everyone know where you live. Okay, let's get to it. Now, for those of you who do not know who Michael is, he is an author of 6 books, and his latest is the Ubuntu Contributionism, which my fabulous friend Lou gave me. Michael is a scientist, explorer who has become a real-life Indiana Jones, making groundbreaking discoveries about advanced vanished civilizations in Africa, offering a stunning new evidence that will force us to really rethink our origins and rewrite our history books. I do believe there is another interview there regarding our education pillar in the near future. In 2016, Michael realized that politics was a rigged and corrupt system, which caused more division and conflict, and knew it would not provide the platform necessary to bring prosperity and abundance to people. And the one small town can change the world strategy was born. So before Michael shares, can we just, Dwayne, I'm just going to have you mute everyone, and then Michael and I will just unmute ourselves.
Thanks, Karen. So I'll let you take it from here, and you can drive the conversation.
Yeah, so I know that you've shared your story thousands of times, and there are people here who know of you. However, it's your story, and your story inspires everyone, I think, here to really step into the one small town strategy. Your voice is going to ignite the will and the passion for everyone here, and then we can take that energy and share with others. So if you could just share, how you started, like what inspired you.
Well, thank you very much, Karen, and hello to everybody. It's great to be talking to you. Canada has always been a very active participant in the Ubuntu movement, and then the one small town strategy that evolved out of that all the way back, starting in 2005, or actually even in 2004. As Karen said, I'm an explorer. I have a background in pharmaceutics. I'm a graduate of Wits Medical School in Johannesburg, one of the top medical schools in the world for many, many years, many decades. And that is probably no longer the case, but that was in the past. Certainly when I was there. And I was always interested in the alternative sciences, in the forbidden knowledge. and my intrigue grew already at school when I started questioning genetics and biology and molecular biology and science and physics and maths, and so asked questions that there weren't answers for. I'm sure many of you have probably gone through the same thing, and eventually that led me to go and search and explore myself. And I started to make discoveries that were very disturbing, especially when I started to look at the origins of money. And this is while I was really doing the research for my first book in 2004, my first book called Slave Species of God. God spelled with a small g, that then was renamed to Slave Species of the Gods, which was slightly more descriptive and not as scary to some people. When they read the word God spelled with a small g, they get a bit nervous. So, and they don't ask, well, why did he spell God with a small g on the cover of his book? Is that a misprint? Anyway, so that book has become a bit of a cult book over the years now, and is still waking people up. And the most important thing that really came out of that research was when I accidentally stumbled onto what became the foundation for the Ubuntu movement, to imagine a world in which money no longer exists, and the journey through politics, and the journey through politics, not just in South Africa, but in the UK, in Canada, in the USA, in Australia, and several other countries where the Ubuntu movement over many years started to go into politics, when we believed that we wanted to inject a seed of consciousness into the political beast and change it from within, only to realize that it's impossible to change the political beast, because the political beast answers to it gets its marching orders from a much higher authority. So it became a very interesting journey of discovery, and very important journey that I had to take personally to walk the talk and learn from experience. So we ran in South Africa, we ran in elections in 2012, 2014, and 2016. 2014, I ran for president. And that's when I realized that the entire election system is completely and utterly rigged, predetermined, pretty much like we saw in the USA in the last several months. The outcome is predetermined, planned, and there's nothing you can do about it. You can jump up and down, you can scream and shout, but that's how it is played. And let me give you an example. We had more than a million signed up members for the Ubuntu Party in South Africa. And for a small little party, that's a lot of members. And we ended up with 5,500 votes in the national election. So you realize that something is dramatically wrong with that picture. So I realized that we can't fight the system. We can't be in politics. The moment you enter politics, you become an opposition. You are an opposition party to all the other parties. And we don't ever want to oppose anyone with the Ubuntu movement. We want to involve and include and unite everyone. So out of that Ubuntu movement that was promoting unity and higher consciousness and abundance and prosperity, out of that experience over probably about a 7-year period involved in politics, came the idea that we need to go to where the people are and start working with the people on the ground, and that is in the small towns. And that's where the one small town can change the world philosophy was born. And in 2016, we then ran in only 13 municipalities in the municipal elections in South Africa. We only participated in 13 municipalities, and the intention was to win just one municipality so we can then introduce our mayor there and the one small town philosophy through the mayor that was elected. Because in South Africa, our mayors are elected by the ruling party, the party that wins the election in that municipality. Our mayors are not voted for and elected by the people of that town or that municipality. So it's a slightly different problem that we face than countries like the USA, and I trust Canada as well, where the mayors are appointed by the community members.
Correct.
So then the one small town philosophy started to grow and started to evolve very quickly to the point where we are today, where we have a very beautiful, harmonious and organic solution to pretty much every problem that we face. And that's what I always jokingly say to people when they stumble upon the Ubuntu movement and they discover the One Small Town philosophy and the One Small Town strategy. I always jokingly say, you know, how many problems do we have in the world? How many problems can you think of? And once you start embracing the One Small Town philosophy and realize how inclusive and how complete it is, and how it's evolved, it's a growing philosophy, and how it presents a solution for every problem we face as the human race. Every possible imaginable problem that you have, when you throw it into the pot of the One Small Town and how are we going to solve this problem, we always come up with a solution. And it's not because I'm clever, it's because suddenly you start thinking about the solutions for our problems from a collective benefit of the community rather than what benefit is it going to give this company or this politician or this party or who's going to benefit from it. It means everyone in our town is going to benefit from it. So if you're new to the One Small Town strategy, I highly recommend that you go to the onesmalltown.org website and just watch all the videos. Just start, you know, don't even read anything, just watch all the videos. But on the same note, I'd like to suggest get a copy of the Ubuntu book. Just on the website, go to the shop, and you'll see the Ubuntu book is available in a number of languages. At this stage, I think it's translated into about 12 languages. But, you know, get the one that suits you. If you're a French Canadian, it's available in French as well. So it'll certainly be a great read. And the reason I suggest that, because the Ubuntu book, although it does not include the One Small Town strategy as a solution, because that book was written just before the One Small Town strategy was then launched in 2014. That the information that you'll find in the Ubuntu contributionism book, and maybe Karen can hold it up, because when you held it up earlier, you held it up in front of your back screen and we couldn't see it. So hold it in front of your face. Yeah, that's it. So that's what the cover looks like. You will see it on the website, and that book will give you all the important fundamental knowledge of the origins of money, which is very different from what we are taught at school, the origins of banking and the central banks and everything that some of you are probably already aware of, but it'll give you a really deeper understanding of what's going on in the world and how simple it is for us to overcome that. So before I rattle on too long, we're now experiencing a rapid boom in the interest and the support for the One Small Town philosophy. One Small Town can change the world. And you might notice some of the banners say One Small Town will change the world. So it goes from One Small Town can change the world to One Small Town will change the world. And it is just exploding. I just got off the phone literally 10 minutes before I jumped on this call with a representative from Namibia. And that was just such a wonderfully warm-hearting, heartwarming experience, because, you know, I've spoken to mayors in all our neighboring countries except Namibia. So I've spoken to mayors in Swaziland and in Mozambique, in Zimbabwe, in Botswana, in South Africa. And now suddenly there's this huge interest and interest from mayors already in Namibia. And Namibia is God's country. It's just so spectacular, so beautiful. Plus, it's a large country and it has a very low population of, you know, less than 3 million people. So it is a perfect place for us to implement the One Small Town strategy and you know, turn it into the new, what one could very easily do in this situation, turn it into like the new Silicon Valley of how towns should manage themselves and will manage themselves into the future. So I'm not sure what else you want me to say at this stage. It's obviously, like I said, go onto the website, watch all the videos, the introductory videos, they're all there. Watch all the Q&A videos as well, because you will have questions and you will have the same questions that everybody else has. If you're new to the ideology, it's always the same questions. It's like clockwork. So, you know, I've been doing this for many years now, 16 years, and I know exactly at which level people enter this debate based on the questions that they ask. And for me, what was really heartwarming and encouraging when this guy called me from Namibia now, and he was fully aware. He's a very successful guy involved in the medical industry. He knows a lot of the members of parliament in Namibia. He is influential in that sector. He knows a lot of mayors that he has got direct contact to, a phone call away. And he's now become the driver, literally overnight, of the One Small Town strategy in Namibia. So it's going to happen so quickly there now, because now we have an activist who is politically connected, who's financially stable. And I say that it's really important, because unfortunately, a lot of the people that are automatically drawn to the Ubuntu movement and the One Small Town philosophy often are people that are down and out. And that, I'm not saying that as a negative, I'm saying that as a positive. So people see it as a solution. And what is now happening, we're now in the stage where it's no longer the hippies and the down and out people and those that are desperately looking for a better life. And again, I say it with love in my heart for those people, because many of my friends are down and out and the hippies. So, I come from that background myself. So being a musician for many years of my life. and now suddenly we're getting to a stage where the influencers and people with serious access to and contacts in areas of influence, including funding,
that's exciting,
are starting to pay attention to One Small Town model. So I can see how the philosophy and idea is evolving, and that evolution is really experiencing a bit of the beginning of an exponential curve. And I can sense it and feel it by the level of discussion, the way the discussions go between those that want to approach the mayors, that suddenly find it interesting, that find me and contact me, and the mayors themselves. So from our very first attempt in Canada, in North Frontenac in 2017, which was the first town, One Small Town, that we actually initiated. And, I was naive, believing that was it. This is going to be it. What North Frontenac did for us was it taught us what works, and it also showed us what doesn't work. It showed us what the mayor should do and what the mayor should not do. So it was a huge learning curve for us in 2017, when Mayor Higgins, who's got a huge, beautiful heart, it's a beautiful soul, a beautiful human being, who completely understood and got the One Small Town concept. But it was very early days, and we learned a great deal from that. And all those lessons we're now implementing in the new way and the new approach to implementing the first One Small Town somewhere around the world. Doesn't matter what country it is. The moment we find that a mayor, a council, and a critical mass number of representatives of the people of that town, and we combine those together, nothing can stop this going viral around the world. And that first town will create a domino effect that will pretty much spread and infect other small towns all over the world.
I believe, Michael, the timing for all of this is so perfect. Most people are so desperately ready for a new system to be presented, independent of government control. And I know that everyone's here is excited about learning more. We do have two regions, towns in Alberta. And we've got Medicine Hat, and we have a town, Whitecourt, and the people there are very excited about this concept and implementing the One Small Town strategy. So can you give us like a step-by-step in regards to the foundation of the One Small Town?
Sure. It's important that everybody that's interested, really interested and wants to take this to heart and wants to embrace this and wants to comprehend this, that they go onto the website and watch the videos. I really believe it's critical. You have to do your homework. It's like in anything that you do. You can't become a surgeon without learning how to do that. You can't work on a car unless you know about the mechanics of the car. You can't embrace the One Small Town philosophy until you truly understand the fundamentals and the parts that make it up, because it's evolved over a 16-year period since 2005. It's an organically evolved philosophy and ideology. It's never been forced into anything, and it keeps getting stronger and keeps getting better. And that's the most exciting thing. I just finished a 4-week intensive online workshop this Saturday. Every Saturday, I held a 2.5-hour workshop on the implementation of the One Small Town. Not the philosophy, not the idea, not the ideology, the evolution of it, but the actual implementation. What do we do? How do we implement this? So I recommend that everybody here who wants to really get into it, go onto the website. It will be made available there, so everybody can watch those workshops now, now that they've been done as live webinar workshops. So we'll make those available for everyone to watch, and really wrap your head around this very simple philosophy. The beautiful thing about this is that's so simple that we and what I find all the time, we overcomplicate it, because that's just how we are wired, because we live in a world where everything is complicated. Everything is filled with bureaucracy, red tape, problems, complication. It never stops. You know, nothing is simple anymore. And so when people start to look at the one small town idea, they always expect it has to be complicated, and it's not. It's really very simple. So fundamentally, the idea is that we need to create prosperity and abundance. So yeah, the website is onesmalltown.org, just for those who don't know. And what the One Small Town does, we don't want to fight the system. We don't want to oppose the system. We can't fight the money system. We can't create a new alternative currency system. None of these things. We don't want to create intentional communities. That doesn't work. Any of those attempts that we look at, whether it's cryptocurrencies, whether it's alternative currencies within towns, and I know some towns have tried it in the UK especially, and so forth. So none of that works. You know, we've had many intentional communities around the world, and some of them are very famous, and they've done nothing. They've done nothing to change the world. So clearly it hasn't worked. It might have worked for a little while for a bunch of people who got together and grew some food and started to support each other. But unfortunately, it hasn't had an impact on the world. Well, the One Small Town will do exactly that. It will have an unimaginable impact on the world the moment the first small town launches. So in essence, what we're doing is we're taking small towns and we're turning them into highly attractive investment opportunities for people with money, investors, millionaires and billionaires. That's in essence what we're doing. And we're making our town as attractive as we possibly can to investors on as many levels as we can imagine, in as many diverse industries and businesses as we can imagine. So when you start looking at the One Small Town model and you watch some of the older videos, there's a lot of talk about we're creating a world without money. Our towns will eventually have no money and so forth. Don't get lost in that narrative, because it might be the final outcome. It might be the eventual outcome of that. But unfortunately, that has been one of the sentiments that has actually caused a lot of problems for the One Small Town strategy, because a lot of beautifully hearted, soul-centered people, watch the videos and they get so inspired and they get so excited and they rush out there and they phone up their mayor or their councillor and say, oh my God, I found this system. I want to tell you about it. We're going to turn our town into a place where we no longer use money. And then the guys just run for the hills. They go, what? You sound like a crazy person. So the important thing here is that we have to approach this as level-headedly as we possibly can. When we go out and we pitch this to a councillor or a mayor, and you will see what I suggest. You will see the letter to the mayor, you will see the bullet points, and there's going to be a whole new letter to the mayor after this workshop. And the bullet points of implementation have been restructured in the last week because we finished this online training course now, and I've learned a great deal and a lot more has come out of it. So the philosophy has grown even more and become even stronger and more holistic. So the whole plan is that we are taking our town, we're uniting the people, we're creating a united cooperative front of the residents of that town that want to participate. It's completely voluntary. Remember, no one is ever forced to do this. So you don't have to jump off a cliff somewhere into uncharted waters and be fearful of not having a job or anything like that. And the mayor doesn't have to leave anything behind and invest all their money into something. There is no downside to anyone. There's no downside to the mayor. There's no downside to the council. There's no downside to anyone. And there's only an upside to all the residents that create the co-op. There's an upside to the mayor and the council because they're trying something that's never been done before. They're presenting the town with a solution that'll bring prosperity and abundance to everybody that participates. And then they collectively putting together a list of businesses and opportunities that the town then presents to outside investors to come and invest money into their town. So in essence, that's what it's as simple as that. We're making our town, taking our town, and by consensus, and in essence, what it does as well, it's giving the power back to the people. Because the moment the people of the town create the co-op and they start building the website, they start identifying the businesses that we want to create, and I'll go into that in more detail so you get an understanding of where we should be thinking about the businesses and what kind of businesses we should be creating. All of this is in the workshop, by the way, so I highly recommend you watch that. So I'm not going into too much detail here. I'm going to just give you the sort of entry-level information so you can go and get into it in a lot more detail. And once we've identified these businesses in our towns and created the business plans for them, and have this united front. We have Ron Higgins here. Oh my goodness, look at this. We'll speak to Ron in a little while. We have a fantastic opportunity to attract those investors to our town because we've done our homework, we've presented everything, and it's now at a stage where we are more ready than we've ever been. And this week, next time, we'll be even more ready because we keep growing, keep evolving, keep improving, and so forth. So if there are any questions, so we're not creating intentional communities. We're not creating towns where money is not used. We're uniting our people into a co-op, and that then presents a united front of labor and a labor force that becomes attractive to outside investors. And that's what we need to achieve.
So to clarify, the people then become co-owners of all the businesses to be part of the one small town movement. Each person in the town contributes. Is it 3 hours a week?
Yeah, that's the idea. That's the plan right now. The whole model is built on that. And what's interesting about these financials, you know, it's everybody is anyone that signs up to the One Small Town model or One Small Town initiative would contribute 3 hours a week. Obviously, once we've identified what businesses we want to start and the business plans that we've done, that we then post on the website, because those are the carrots that we dangle to the investors ultimately. And we have several of these examples of these business plans that we've done now in various countries, and especially France. And I must tell you, the French One Small Town team is headed by a bunch of millennials. They're all under 30. It's just the most exciting thing. It's just fantastic. And they're dynamic, they're business driven, they're entrepreneurs, and they're all below 30. It's fantastic. It's, you know, they translated the Ubuntu book into French. They created the website in French. They've translated a lot of the videos. They're busy translating all the videos into French now. They've created business plans that show how a normal capitalist model for a business plan, how the profits and, you know, and so forth, and compared to a One Small Town business model, using the system of a One Small Town strategy, and you can just see that the profits in the One Small Town model are just so much better, so much higher that it actually boggles the mind. And they've done a number of examples. They use a bakery, they use a dairy, and a bunch of other stuff. And the one very interesting business model that they did was a call center. A call center. You can just imagine, especially towns that have got elderly people or towns that have got people that are handicapped or have some sort of handicap. You know, people can sit around and answer phones and talk and et cetera, et cetera. And you use a computer. You don't have to shovel crap or sweep the streets, or as we often think, you know, it's going to be hard labor. We're all going to have to go out there and do something. No, you know, some of the most productive and the most profitable industries are IT industries that are not very hardcore labor intensive, you know, when you look at that. So what the reason I brought up the business plans is because we are busy translating the business plans into English so that I can actually put them up on the Ubuntu Planet website so everybody can see and compare these actual business plans. And that's what we're going to do. That's what the intention is. Once the community has structured itself into the co-op, and the community has identified the businesses that they believe are going to be good for their town, then they need to do the business plans and put those up on the website, because those become the carrots for the investors.
I love it. And I find that having those templates it's going to make it so much easier for so many people to say yes in that town. And I love how you've created that contribution, because I heard you in regards to the example of a town that has 10,000 people in it, and people are contributing 3 hours a week. That's a lot of energy and people volunteering, right? And I love how you are saying that, for those who are contributing, they receive all the services then for free. So bartering and trading is really not the solution.
No, that's one of the common misperceptions when people first discover the One Small Town idea. Many people automatically jump to the conclusion, oh, this is some sort of form of bartering and trading. Yeah, great. Let's get back to bartering and trading. Wrong. We're not going into any form of bartering and trading, because that's just another form of capitalism. He who has more to trade and more to barter with will control everybody else. So it's just, bartering and trading is not a solution. And unfortunately, because we are so ill-informed about the origins of money, the origins of trade, the origins of banking, and the origins of how the abuse of banking was imposed on humanity, especially in the last 250 years by the Rothschild Empire. And, when people discover that, they shocked and horrified. I call it coming to terms with the terrible truth. So once people realize what's really going on, this one small town philosophy becomes very obvious and very, very attractive to people when they realize that there is no other model that I know of that is as eloquent as this. If there was, I would be supporting that model. Right.
And I find that everyone here at Life First Canada, when we see the future, we don't see competition. So I love that this is not about competition, right? There's no competing against other towns or big businesses.
Not at all. And you'll see when you watch the videos and the Q&A videos and so forth, you'll notice how fully inclusive and embracing the One Small Town philosophy is. It never, ever rejects anyone or opposes anyone, even existing businesses in the town, in the community. We never, ever go out of our way to try and destroy or undermine those businesses. There's a very wonderful and simple way for us to embrace those businesses and bring them into the One Small Town philosophy without destroying that business, and giving the owners of that business an elevated position, or not an elevated position, giving them an opportunity to become more successful by growing their business the way that they under normal conditions couldn't grow. Because now suddenly, once they agree to utilizing the One Small Town structure, the philosophy, but they're basically opening their town to 10,000 employees.
Exactly.
How much more can you do with 30,000 hours a week? Obviously, it has to be broken down into all the other businesses, but this is what we employ technology like blockchain technology. People, one of the frequently asked questions is, so how will you know where people should go and what should they do every week? People think that this is like we're going to be a bunch of hippies on a piece of land trying to get some food. No, we've got technology. We're not stupid. We know how to use technology. So, in this last workshop, 2 days ago on Saturday, one of the people that was in the workshop was an AI specialist, actually from Canada, I believe. She's a Canadian woman, and she offered us her AI technology. As soon as we're ready, she's there. She'll present us with the AI that we can use in the One Small Town setup, and whichever way it can serve us. So we're
Right.
not going to do stupid things. We're going to use the best technology, the best, systems, the best IT to set this thing up so it runs as smoothly and effortlessly as possible and serves us instead of us.
Yes, and we also see bringing back manufacturing. So I this whole strategy, it really provides an opportunity for every town then, right, to be the hub for that technology. And then that's the prosperity right there.
Yeah. Well, one of the things that came to mind in this, for example, this last workshop that I did was a niche or a strategy for the town. Some towns might have a strategy, and that strategy must come from the people of the town. It can't come from a mayor that decides something. No, the people must take control of the town. The people must decide what we want to do for our town. Which direction do we want to take our town? Does our town have a unique selling proposition that we're not utilizing at all? And often that is the case. In fact, 99% of the time, like my town here, my town could be the #1 tourist destination in South Africa. And in fact, it was in the 70s and the 80s until the ANC government took over and started to destroy all our small towns, which they continue to do, as everybody knows at this stage. It's no longer a secret. But that's what politics does. So our town is so poised for tourism. It's ridiculous. We should have 200,000 tourists springing through our town every month. A little town of 7,000 people, and that's not happening. So every town might find a niche that they can focus on, which is a natural flow for that town, and not force things onto the town just because they want to come up with business ideas and factories and this and that. So, obviously growing food should always be #1 priority. So the one thing I always say to people is, like, before you even start thinking of any other businesses, growing food and having fresh spring water or clear water for your town are the two.
Oh, he froze up.
Yeah, he's froze up.
Karen,
Yeah.
This is Ron Higgins. I know Mike Tellinger well. Would you like me to fill in while he signs
Yes.
back in?
Thank you so much. That'd be great.
Okay. For those who don't know me, my name is Mayor Ron Higgins. I met Mike Tellinger about 3 years ago and actually implemented the One Small Town in North Frontenac here in Canada. As Michael was talking about, you have to keep the politics out of this. I tried to implement the One Small Town concept as a mayor along with my council, and it was a total failure. So what I've done for the first year is the reason it was a failure is because most people within the community weren't acceptable to change, thought it was a too far out idea, didn't understand it, things like that. And trying to drive this in a political format gets way too much negative publicity and things like that. So what I'm doing over the last year and a half is I've been implementing the contributionism model that Michael Tellinger talks about in his One Small Town concept. And I'm hoping to announce next week. Michael was talking about technology and food and water as being the basis. We have good water up here, but we have a very poor farming area as far as growing our own food and being a sustainable one small town, in this case, a one small township in Canada. So I'm hoping to announce next week, we've been working underground, buying the property, et cetera, that we're going to be erecting a vertical farm here this summer in North Frontenac. And we're going to be implementing the contributionism model as well as employment. So we're going to have people in the community that are going to come in and help maintain the facility, and in return they'll get fresh food. The restaurants and the other stores in our area will be able to get fresh produce at whatever the cost is to grow that food. And we're going to sustain the operation by selling food outside of our township to high-end restaurants, grocery stores, things like that. And that'll help fund not only to maintain the current vertical farm that we're going to implement, but it's also going to fund other new projects. So the lessons I've learned over the last 3 years in implementing the One Small Town concept is it's the people, as Michael just talked about, it's the people within the community who are going to be the ones that are going to drive this. So when I'm finished my term as mayor, I'm going to be organizing some groups within my community that will influence the political decision making within the group. So that's my one word of advice to anybody on this call. When you're implementing a one small town concept, it's got to be people driven, and you have to have a large group of people that are aligned and agree on the same philosophy and can influence the political decisions within your community. So I heard about this meeting just this morning, so I thought I'd log in and sort of pass on my lessons learned and just listen to Michael, because I haven't talked to Michael in some time. So I apologize for breaking into your meeting today. I have to log off in a few minutes for another meeting, well, about 10 minutes now for another meeting. So while we're waiting for Michael, if anybody has any questions or comments, I'll be happy to fill in till he gets back online.
Thank you.
On that, everyone, I just want to give you the community guidelines on asking a question. If you go to the lower bar, you'll see the icon that says reaction. You press that and it'll give you the option to raise your hand. And you'll see some of the people at the top, they've got their hands up. And so that's your opportunity, and Karen will select the individuals with their hands raised. And once your question is answered, please lower your hand to give the other people the opportunity. So that's how we get the discussion going.
Thank you so much, Dwayne. Michael, are you back? No. Ron, you are so meant to be here. So thank you so much. And please do not apologize.
Meant to be.
Yeah, we would love to connect with you more. I heard about Frontenac in regards to your beekeeping and so you're learning a lot, and thank you for taking that initiative on, and now you're here to help us and support us. So this is fantastic. We have so many people in Life First Canada, across this beautiful country that we want to step into creating this whole new system outside of this corrupt Luciferian system that we're in, and really create the towns and cities, communities by the people, for the people. So thank you for being here. Okay, so we have a question from Marion.
Hi, I just want to say, wow, so great to have this chance to talk to you and meet you and hear about your story. Thank you for sharing, being here. I was wondering if you have any examples of business plans, and if so, where they might be posted.
Yes, I do have business plans. I can probably share those. We had 5 different projects that had different business plans within them. Before I share them publicly, though, I want to get permission from the project owners to share those. So I'll make a note. And Karen, if you want to contact me with your contact information, I'll pass everything through you if you like.
Sure, absolutely. Perfect, thank you.
So yes, we do have business plans. They were very detailed. They were primarily based on contributionism, but we also needed investor money that Michael was talking about. And we did manage to raise some investor funds for our beekeeping operation. And so that was the first one we did. And the vertical farm that's starting is also going to be done through the project owner, as well as some investment funds.
Thank you, Marianne, for that question. And also there will be, I do believe, on the onesmalltown.org website, Michael mentioned that he'll be posting templates there as well. Stacy.
Okay, Ron, can you give me some idea what type of investors are attracted or had been attracted to your project, and what is the benefit back to those investors? Will they eventually, pull out of any kind of town interest or ownership? And do they take a percentage ownership in any of the individual projects or as the overall model?
Very good question. The primary investor age group would be the millennials that Michael was talking about earlier. They seem to be the most interested in green and sustainable economies. So that would be the investor group that we're targeting. I've developed a new investor model for North Frontenac whereby We're not going to allow investors to have shares in the groups, but we will ensure that they get twice the money in return for their investment. So they won't get any shares, but we'll continue their return on their investment for a 33% return on investment for their group. And that investment return starts once the organization or the project becomes at a profitable state. So the investor, if the profitability of the project happens in 1 year versus 3 years, and we're able to pay off the investor his 30%, then we can do that in 1 year. Then that option is available. So it's a new investor model. I've tested it with some investors just to get their feedback, and they all love the model. Of course, they're going to get more return, but they will not have shares in the organization. The reason we didn't want to have shares is we didn't want to have big investor groups or big business organizations be part of the small community and take it over. We wanted to make sure that it stays as a one small town initiative to ensure sustainability for the community within the community itself. So as we all know, with the pandemic situation right now, sustainability within our country has been really highlighted. We don't have any opportunities to make equipment. We've let business manufacturing organizations go outside of our country. So as a result, we're relying on other countries now to help us get through a pandemic. And I'm just using that as an example. There's many other examples, but this is a good learning experience for everybody. If we were like within North Frontenac alone, we're pretty self-sustainable. We have to go outside for medical care and groceries. So that's my primary focus on projects, is to get investors to help us to grow our own food and to be able to look after the health and well-being of the community. So those are my two priorities. And the target group for the investors will be the millennials, and the return on investment is there. So I hope that answers your question.
Thank you, Stacy. Thank you,
I
Ron.
can clarify if you need help.
Oh, sure. I've got your email. I'll fire you a couple more questions.
Thank you, Stacy. Barbara.
Hi, I've been a big fan of this One Small Town movement for about a year, and I just love it. I opened up a group called One Small Town on GeForce so that we can all learn and support each other in our endeavors where One Small Town is. So people that are interested, if you can go and join and bring information, that would be great. Does anyone know how Michael came up with the concept of Ubuntu, One Small Town, and where did it come from?
Yeah, he mentioned today that because of the political system, he knew it was rigged and corrupt, that it was crazy, just creating a lot of division and conflict. And he knew that it was really not going to provide the platform necessary to bring prosperity and abundance to the people. So that's where the One Small Town, strategy was born.
Great, thanks, Karen.
You're welcome. Thank you, Barbara. Lou, you have a question? I know that you're not able to raise your hand, but.
Yeah, I don't have that button on my screen. I don't know why everybody else does.
It's all good.
Yeah, Ron, what happened to One Small Town? Because I remember when you were first starting it years ago, and it was so optimistic, and then what happened?
So what happened is, this could be a lengthy discussion on why it didn't work, but I'll try and summarize it because I have to leave in about 5 minutes for another meeting, so I apologize. I'll try to give you an overview. What happened was there was a group of people came in, and it was probably about 5 different groups of people, about 5 or 6 people each that want to run different projects. So somebody was asking where Michael came up with it. It's basically this book here, the Ubuntu. If you read that book, that'll give you an idea where Michael came from.
I've had mine for years.
What was written in the book, One Small Town and the Ubuntu contributionism model, is theory based. And so under the theory, it seems to work well. But if you once you start to get into projects, there's a lot of conflict started to come up, and the commitment that people were talking about wasn't there. So it basically long story short, over a year it failed. We had to cancel everything, do it. It was too much infighting. People were splintering, people were leaving and things like that. So anybody who's starting a project, and I talked to this to another group last month, is when you start a project or you're thinking about starting a one small town project, is to take a small project within your community that you can all work together on and see how well you work together, for one thing. Because once you're talking on calls like this one, everybody's getting all psyched up, ready to go, and let's get at her. But once you actually start it, you find out what some of the obstacles are, and you get into the human conflict models and things like that. So there's got to be a lot of synergy within the group to ensure that the projects you're going to work on work. So in hindsight, I should have only taken on one project versus 6 or 7 projects. But that's a learning thing because it was never done before. So I learned a lot on that, and I'm trying to pass on that knowledge. In order for it to work, you have to start small, work together as a full group, make sure everybody in your group is working together on one project to make sure that you can work through it and work together as a group. So I could go on that, on why it failed, but basically it was too many projects, too many human conflict, too many people new to the community that didn't understand the community and what the history is in the community, and trying to make changes too quick. When you're going to make changes, you got to start small and sort of get people used to the idea, the concept before you get too big. So I apologize for the short answer, but that's a high level summary of why it didn't work.
That helps a lot. Thank you.
Great question, Lou, and thank you, Ron. So we have 2 more questions and then we'll let you go, Ron. Sasha.
Okay.
Hi, Ron. My question was for Michael, but I think you could answer it as well. I wanted to know, in order to get the community buy-in into the project, how fast can the payouts, if we decide to go financial payouts versus services payouts? The first question is one better than the other? And the second, hello?
So from the finances, it would depend upon your business plan, and that's where a good business plan comes into place. How long is it going to take you to break even? How long to make profit? And what are the expenses you have to get through? How is the investors going to help? That kind of thing. So that would determine on how well you start to be profitable and be able to reinvest into either your current project or your future projects. From a service, it's almost immediate. Like for the vertical farm, it's going to take about 8 weeks to start getting the food out from one end to the other. So if you can imagine a long Quincy hut, if you will, once we get up and running, we're going to plant some large boxes of seed. A week later, you move that box down, you plant another box of seeds, and you just keep moving it down. By 8 weeks, you have a whole pile of seeds that are at different stages of development. And at the end, you have the fruit or vegetable coming off. So you have fresh fruit and vegetables coming off basically every day, if not every week. And that's where you become sustainable and be able to provide the service into the community, like the return on the contributionism and things like that. Hope that
But
answers you.
what if that service is not something that's really appealing to them in terms of their 3-hour contribution? Right?
Well, for the vertical farm, no, but when we get into health and wellness, the model that we're incorporating here is we're going to have doctors coming into the community. They're going to work 5 or 6 days. And then there'll be an area in a home or a small tiny home or something where the doctors can just stay and enjoy the scenery. They can go fishing, hiking, camping, skidooing, or cross-country skiing, whatever they want to do. So in return for their services, they get the normal I guess, government fee, if you would, as a doctor, but they wouldn't charge any extra for that, and they would be able to get a return by contributing to the community. What it does from a service level is it's immediate, so people start to get health care right away. And these doctors and nurses would be on a rotational basis coming into the community. That's going to be the next project that we're hoping to get started in here. Does that help,
Okay.
Sasha?
Yeah, this helps because this is something that everybody can get access to and see is as beneficial right away, because we need the incentive to get them involved and, devote their time. That's why I want something that's going to be like it's a no-brainer.
Great question, Sasha. Thank
Yeah,
you so
and
much.
healthcare would be the
Yeah,
first.
absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you. Brian.
Yes, I got two quick questions. I'm not too sure if you're familiar with the Venus Project and how the similarities are to the One Small Town. And the other question is, the most important question is, do you believe there is an effort to hurt your efforts to make this work?
Absolutely, definitely. And that's a challenge everybody has to come home. So going back to Sasha's point, if you can get something in place like healthcare where people start to see the benefit, then the naysayers and those that may not like me personally or may not like me politically or don't like the concept, once you start to implement something like a healthcare model or the food model and people see it actually working, that's enough incentive to swing most people that are against it in the beginning to come around and see the benefits. Karen, I'm sorry, but I do have to go. If I'm off my call earlier and you're still on, I'll come back in.
No problem. Thank you so much for being here. We're grateful to have you here and look forward to learning more from you.
Okay, thanks everybody.
Too bad that Michael wasn't able to get back on, but that is no problem. I think that right now, I know that there is so many videos that he has available for all of us to view. Sasha, thank you so much for sharing the seminar recordings that you took and posting them on the G4S network. As we learn more about the One Small Town strategies and begin to take the steps moving forward, I know that a lot of the frequently asked questions that he has are, what about people who are lazy and do not want to contribute? And he said that happens, but it's the fence sitters are the ones who will have to pay for the services in that town. So everyone that says yes to the One Small Town movement in that town, they get free food, free electricity, free everything. And sooner or later, the fence sitters are going to begin to join as they see everyone getting all these free services. And so then they will say, yes, okay, I will contribute the 3 hours per week. It's going to be an education process on empowering people to think differently. And I think this is the beauty of what we're going through is at one point or the other, people are going to say enough is enough. I'm now really witnessing the corrupt system that we're in, and there is going to be that desperate need for change. And I think that's going to be serving us at Life First Canada. That's going to be serving our plan councils in every town. It's going to be that awakening that's going to be driving people. Hey, there's this amazing concept that we want to bring people into that's going to be serving the people, by the people, for the people. And so I think the more that we begin to integrate Michael's teachings, that we'll be able to find our own way through this. And now, because Ron was saying that they implemented that a few years back, well, quite a few years back, now is the time. And I think we all know this. This is very, very exciting. One of the questions I did have for Michael when we first communicated was, and this comes up for him a lot, is who's going to be doing the dirty work? Because that means if you're looking at a town of 10,000 people and everyone has to contribute 3 hours a week, that's a lot of hours, right? That's 30,000 hours per week. And if we look at the system that we're in right now, all the dirty work, who does the dirty work? It's the lower class. It's the slave class. And because in the new earth and the reality that we're creating, co-creating together, there's no more hierarchy. zero, gone. We are all one and the same. So everyone is going to be doing all the work, like everything, right? We're going to be taking turns. And so this is where we're going to be leveling the playing field. And that is one thing I love about the One Small Town strategy, is that everyone will be doing and taking turns at all the jobs. People who sit on the fence are not going to get anything for free. They're going to have to pay. So the more people participate, the more abundance there's going to be. So 1 week cleaning toilets or cleaning streets, this is only going to happen once a year because there's so many people, right? Those pieces that we might have to do that we don't like is going to be cyclical. And I believe that the Plan Council then in that town will define the guidelines and manage and implement the structure and allocate the people and the jobs. And again, this is going to be a great leveling. And this is where the Plan Councils in that town are going to be identifying the skills of each individual. Can you imagine the people in those small towns who have been lost in the cracks? Nobody knows, who they are. So that awakening is going to be there, where people are going to discover their passions and purpose. And now there's going to be a place for everyone, just as he said, right? In regards to the call center, this is where anybody, that's not able to, work in the accounting firm or whatever it is. There's going to be a position for everyone. And these are the people who will bring the best out in all these small towns. So I think this is just really, really brilliant. Brian.
Yes, I just wanted to comment. You had said something about lazy people, and I had that on my list of questions as well. And it's stereotypical. 10% of people try to do 90% of the work. And as I listen to say, putting in 3 hours, a week?
Yes.
I'm thinking, if this is as important as it is to me, I'm going to give far more than that.
Yes, exactly.
And
yes.
there would be lots of people, I think, like that. But my biggest problem is, are other people going to be riding on our coattails and not doing, their share? And then they're getting the benefits somehow as well. That's my dilemma. And this is a problem that I foresee is going to be a problem, that some people are going to be putting in massive effort and some people are going to be riding on the coattails of other people's efforts.
I get it. Years ago, I was coaching a kid. He was 19 years old. He was living at home. He had no passion for life whatsoever. His parents were so upset with him. They were fearful because he was depressed. He would sleep until 3 o'clock in the afternoon. He was doing drugs. And over a 3-month period, he massively shifted and began to clean his room, to get up early, and to go out and see his friends. And what was shifting for him was his state of mind, because he realized that his life was only ever going to be up to him. If he wanted to change his life, it was going to be up to him to do so. And he realized that he could actually step into doing something in his life that really ignited his heart. He thought in his head that he needed to do what his dad had done. And so that was the whole mindset. He did not want to become his father. And as soon as his belief system shifted to think, oh my, I get to actually create my own future. This is what I want to do. This is what I'm passionate about. Within a year, he signed up for a university, got in, and he's just been, riding high ever since. So I think that the more people, when we're in the new earth, when we're in this new reality that we're creating for ourselves, is that we're going to realize that we don't have to get up anymore and go to a job we hate. We're going to be ignited from the inside out to say, okay, I'm going to define what I want to do. And I think that the more people realize that we don't have to pay for food anymore, we don't have to pay for energy, we don't have to pay for all the things that cause stress. The stress is going to be dissolved, and that's where the awakening of our creativity is going to really, really show up. And that's what's very exciting. And then we can step into all those dreams that we've had, you know, maybe when we were 12 years old or 18 or whatever, and go, hey, I've always wanted to look after bees, whatever it is. We get to step into that. And so so it's very exciting. So great question, Brian. Thank you. Sasha.
Yes, I just wanted to know, well, I just wanted to say, as I think most of you know, I'm a very optimistic person, so I embrace every challenge. And what I loved about this one small town concept is that it could be anything you choose for it to be based on the community. I live in a very city-like community, and my challenge and why I'm excited is how do you create a township mentality within a city situation? And this is where I find the beauty and the excitement in it. And as we collectively work on all the different variations of the one small town application within Canada, and then we can cross-reference and see what works, what doesn't, and then even cross, do business between the different towns. That's going to be quite amazing. But I just want everybody to understand and remember that we will make it whatever we choose to be, and the community needs to be involved so that they can grow it into what it needs to be. So we are not doing this alone. It's really going to grow to where it needs to be. We're just going to dry steer it, and it'll land where it needs to land.
100%, Sasha. Every town is going to be their own unique one small town. And we are the co-creators now of our life, where the government, the politicians no longer decide what is happening in any town. It'll be up to the people. And in regards to what Stacy was talking about too earlier on, every person with you own every single business. So you are a business owner. And that in itself will ignite the passion within all of us, to know that we're now stepping into prosperity. And when he was talking about the investors, only 1/3 will be given to an investor and the rest will be owned by the town. And I think that is very, very exciting. And so everyone gets to decide, you know, what is the products, the services that you want to offer in your own town. So thank you, Sasha. This is great. Okay, everyone, tonight at 7 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, Chris Sky is joining us, so get your questions ready. If you are new here and are not on our Life First Canada website, I recommend you go to lifefirstcanada.ca and sign up so that you can receive the Zoom link for tonight, because it's a different Zoom link. And then we can have you join us every Monday. This is very exciting as we move forward. And thank you so much, everyone. Appreciate you standing for freedom. Together we rise. Yay.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Karen.
Karen.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Karen.
Have a great day, everyone.
Great
to
day.
see you.
You too, everybody.
Have a good day.